Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It is Tuesday afternoon here in the Eastern time zone of the USA. It is 17:15 Zulu on August 15th, 2023. And this is Tuesdays with DX Engineering. And I'm really excited today. We have a great guest. It's Mark Eugene, W4ZIP, who is part of the DX Engineering sales and technical team. And Mark Eugene, tell us a little bit about the Eugene in the Mark.
Well, DX Engineering is a great place to spend time with, and I'm so glad that I joined the outfit, Tim. Thank you for the invitation. But it's funny, there are a number of other Marks at DX Engineering, and so when I get on the phone, I'd be careful not to say, "Hey, this is Mark," because if somebody calls back and asks for Mark, it just causes a lot of confusion. So Eugene is actually my middle name. So when I'm on the phone, I use my middle name just to hold the confusion down. So that's what the Eugene's all about.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And Mark, when this all got started, it all got started with a QSO on 160 meters. And you're a local guy, but you sent me a QSL card. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
well, Tim, I've been a ham operator for my gosh, 56 years, and I dabble in CW once in a while. I'm not a big CW guy, but I really enjoy the challenge of CW. And I think it was maybe 2 years ago, I was dabbling in the 160 meter CW contest. And I heard K3LR. And I said, my gosh, those guys aren't so far away. I know who they are. So I made contact, and I later followed up with a QSL card. And shortly after that, I got a return QSL from you. Thank you very much, Tim. But the next thing I know, I had a conversation with Dave Fairbanks, who also works with DX Engineering. And he says, "Hey, Mark, these guys are trying to get a hold of you. I think they want to talk to you about a job." And I told Dave, I said, "Dave, listen, I'm retired. I don't want a job. I don't need a job. I'm enjoying retirement." But then we got to talking some more about maybe a part-time thing. And, this is my hobby. It's been my hobby for a long time, along with cars also. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the next thing I knew, I'm talking to Tim, I'm talking to Scott Jones, and turns out we had a lot in common from my early days in television and broadcasting. And I said, I think a little part-time thing might be fun. It'd be fun to talk to new hams who just are looking for some advice. And I heard some rumor about even employee discounts on ham radio stuff, and that really got my attention.
So how has it worked out? I mean, have you been having fun helping guys on the phone?
Tim, I have been. I enjoy talking to folks, and it's and if I get a phone call from a guy who says, "Hey, I'm brand new and I don't really know what I'm doing," my ears really perk up, because it's a chance to talk to somebody new and offer some advice and some help, and that's been a lot of fun. That's been very gratifying. That's a fun part of the job.
So, Mark, you're very active in your local club, as all our team members are. They're very active in clubs and doing VE testing, etc. The Mahoning Valley Amateur Radio Association. Talk about the MVARA, Mark.
I think the MVARA is one of the oldest clubs in the country, as a matter of fact. And we have monthly meetings. We've got an active Skywarn net. Just 2 weeks ago, we were helping Mahoning County verify that all the sirens in the county were working. We did it over 2 weekends, and all of us were dispatched to siren sites. And when the sirens went off, we wanted to verify that were they working, number one, and were they rotating? Could we see any physical damage? Did everything look okay? And that was a service that we provided to emergency management in Mahoning County.
That's one of the many great club activities. I mean, you guys do a whole lot more than just the siren testing, right?
Well, we do. I mean, we've got monthly meetings, and every month there's an interesting speaker, sometimes in person, sometimes via Zoom. I think I've even seen you on an occasion or two at one of our meetings by Zoom, and it's always interesting, and it's a chance to meet the local ham community and share ideas, and shop and swap is always a lot of fun to say. What somebody's trying to pass off is the latest and greatest. I mean, sometimes you find some great bargains and some helpful hints and helpful equipment. And we just had our corn roast just last week at Boardman Township Park, and just a lot of fun. That's one of the great aspects of ham radio. I mean, there are so many aspects to ham radio, obviously, but the social and the friendship part is a very important part of it.
So, Mark, on that subject, some of the fascinating things. Let's talk about the call sign you have.
The call sign. Hey, I was first licensed back in 1967 as a novice. 5 words a minute, a written test. And when I got that envelope from the FCC, I opened it up and I looked at it. It said WN8ZIP. I thought, wow, that is really a cool call sign. I was really excited to get it. Well, then I went on to take I became a technician. And of course, back then, the written exam for the technician was also the written exam for the general class license. And then I passed that. And then I recall going up to Cleveland to take my 13-word a minute code test. And became a general. And of course, my call sign changed from WN8ZIP to WA8ZIP. Well, fast forward 50 years or so, as I approached retirement, I wanted to get more active in the hobby. So I got my extra class license. And I thought, now that I'm an extra, I'd like to get a shorter call sign, but I don't want to give up my ZIP. Now, W8ZIP was unavailable, so I started shopping around, and I saw down in Foreland, W4ZIP was available, so I grabbed it. And that's how W4ZIP came to be.
Oh, that's a great story. Tell us about your station, Mark.
Well, here in Boardman, I've got an upstairs location and a downstairs location. Down in the basement, I've got an ICOM 7000. I've got an old Kenwood TS520, which I got from a friend that was broken down, didn't work. I repaired it, and that is a nice sounding radio. It still is. I've got my original Drake radios from over 50 years ago, my Drake R4B, my Drake T4XB transmitter, and I still put those on the air once in a while. Still a lot of fun. I also have a little QRP radio in the basement, a little Yaesu 817. But, I spend so much time upstairs that I wanted to get a radio up here by my desk. And so up here, right next to me, is an ICOM 7300. And I also have an Anytone 780 or 580. I think it's a 578, which I use for, 2 meters and 70 centimeters, local repeater work, and DMR, which has been kind of fun. And let's see, outside antenna-wise, I've got a dipole which covers 160, 80, and 40 meters. I've got a little Yagi, a Mosley Yagi, which covers 10, 15, and 20, plus 15 and, or rather 12 and 17 meters. I've got a little 6-meter, what's it called? What's called an omni angle, a little horizontally polarized omnidirectional 6-meter antenna. And of course, a 2-meter 440 vertical on the roof. And so that kind of, plus I don't want to forget about the big amplifier in the basement, the big AL811.
Yeah, that strikes fear.
Maybe I was exaggerating when I said big.
That's a fine amplifier. Actually, I used that when I was on a DXpedition in in the British Virgin Islands, so I'm familiar with that amplifier. Mark, let's recognize who's in the chat room here. We've got X-Ray Echo 2 Zulu Zulu, and our friend Don, Whiskey Juliet 3 United, and Barry is on from England, Germany 6 Juliet Mike X-Ray, and our friend Dan down in Kentucky, WA4 Mike Oscar Mike, and Dino, Kilo Lima 0 Sierra, who has been a ham for 54 years. And he's only scratched the wonderful activities that the hobby. I mean, Mark, how do you take it all in?
You know, it's hard. The most amazing thing about this hobby is there are so many facets to it. There's satellites, there's the technology, there's DXing, there's contesting. There's, of course, the social aspects and the friendship aspects, the public service stuff that we do, the emergency communications, and stuff that I really enjoy is tinkering with the hardware, the electronics. I think that's the part of the hobby that I think I enjoy most of all. Sending QSL cards from hams all across the world. It's a lot to wrap your arms around. But Tim, the interesting thing is there's something for everybody in this hobby. If you don't like contesting, hey, believe me, there are 20 other things that you can try to get involved in.
Right. It's tough to, can't do it all. We've got Bob the Traveler, WD8NVN, going to Huntsville. Yes, DX Engineering will be in Huntsville. And we got Frankie on from Oklahoma City. And from the Faroe Islands, Oscar Yankee 1, Oscar Foxtrot. That's some good DX there, Mark.
Well, they must have heard I was going to be on the chat this afternoon, and they wanted to meet me in person, perhaps. I don't know. Or maybe it's you, Tim.
From Belgium, it's Oscar Norway 7 Zulu Victor. And then from Jacksonville, Florida, Kilo Golf 2 Mike, who has been on the show before. And also Jack, Kilo Delta 9 Papa Delta Yankee. And Jerry, November Mike 0 India. And also our good friend Dave, Kilo 8 Delta Victor, another one of the DX Engineering team. And Mark, how much do you rely on team members here at DX Engineering?
Oh, a lot. I mean, you know, all of us know a lot about ham radio, but none of us knows everything about ham radio. And invariably, we will occasionally come across an issue or a product that we need some help with. And it's great to know that we don't have to go far to get some advice and some help, especially in the back room for solving problems sometimes, like with Heather or Maria. They are such a great support service for those of us on the phone. Much appreciated.
Yes, yeah, they're really our heroes. And we've got another DX Engineering team member, Kilo Golf 9 Zulu. Scotty is on with us.
Scotty, yes.
And Champ is on from Bangkok. Echo 21 Echo India Charlie. And Mark, as far as I can tell, it's maybe midnight 1 a.m. over there in Thailand, and he's watching you live. So, and it was great to see Champ in Italy. Champ and his wife and Bun were there, and we had a great time. Well, Mark, we could go on and on and on, and it's been great having you on the show. Thanks so much for all you do for our customers and amateur radio and the MVARA and all the things that you're involved in. And it's just great to have you on the team.
Thank you, Tim. We'll be talking soon.
All right. And 73 from DX Engineering. We'll see you next time.